Chapter 22, Relentless Youth. Club Escape was one of the largest and most popular nightclubs in all of Denver. Big Chuck owned it according to what Brett read in the files he had been given. It was really nothing more than a footnote of information, he told DJ. It did say it was thought local law enforcement was paid to steer clear completely. If anything happened at the club, Big Chuck would take care of it himself. If they got a call about a disturbance, they should be slow to respond. The FBI, however, supposedly had surveillance on the thing 24/7. They drove past twice, but Brett could see no signs of FBI presence. It was possible, Brett reasoned, surveillance was set up in one of the nearby buildings. If so, then that drastically narrowed the possibility they could pull this off. The club was located in a renovated warehouse district. The buildings had all been reclaimed and turned into upscale boutiques, shops, and restaurants. True to Brett's reading of the files he had been given, DJ spotted not one single police car. In a busy night spot like this, you would expect to see a few patrol cars attempting to keep the peace, but there was none. Apparently, no one dared to cause any trouble near Big Chuck's premier establishment. They had come to this location because the two thumbtacks on the map they were looking for indicated they were here. Brett and DJ didn't know what the place was until they arrived, but it made sense that the two people they were looking for would hang out at the hottest place in town. It also just happened to be owned by their father. You see, the idea was to kidnap one or both of Big Chuck's sons and use them as bargaining chips for the release of DJ's in-laws and Brett's wife. If he would release them, DJ would promise Big Chuck not to only release his two sons unharmed, but still hand himself over. Of course, this was completely illegal. DJ was not sure how Brett was going to pull off not going to jail himself. Brett did seem to have an understanding boss, so maybe he could come up with something. DJ wondered how the relationship between Brett and the head of the Dallas field office for the FBI had become so close. He was sure there was a good story in there somewhere, and maybe, if they lived through the next few hours, he could ask him. Escape, spelled X-S-C-A-P-E, was at least a 3-story building. There could be a basement level as well, DJ thought. Both left and right sides of the club were connected to other buildings, so there was no side entrances. There was an alley that ran behind the place, however. Both ends were blocked off with orange traffic cones to keep patrons from parking behind the club. It stood to reason there was a back entrance hiding somewhere in the alley. This was just based on what they could see with their eyes. What they really needed was better intel on what the inside of the building looked like. Brett had an idea on how to find that out. Out in front of the club was a long line of potential customers waiting to gain entrance. Young men and women all dressed to the nines, waiting to get in and have a good time. The guys were dressed in tailored slacks and trendy sports coats, some with ties and some without, all of them sporting expensive haircuts. The ladies were in competition on just how much skin they could reveal, with form-fitting dresses that ended well up their thighs and low-cut necklines and backs. The whole thing was a glittering column of pompous, self-important young people, all on a quest to ensure their popularity. Nothing was more important than how you looked, where you hung out, and who you hung out with. Brett and DJ approached the back of the line and interrupted a young couple chatting away their wait time. "Excuse me," Brett began. The young couple stopped and turned their way. As soon as they saw he and DJ's attire, jeans and matching T-shirts, their attitudes changed to one of open disdain. "We were just wondering," Brett continued, "what this place was." "You from out of town?" the young man asked, looking them up and down. "Not only out of town, but we just spent a week in the mountains on a hiking trip. I can see we're currently not dressed for this place, but we were just passing by and saw the long line. We were looking for a place to hang out tomorrow night. This place looks popular. Just wondering if you can give us some information." "Well," the young man said, "first thing is, there's a strict dress code. No jeans. Men have to wear at least a sports coat. Girls have to dress, well, like her." He pointed at his date. She tossed her hair and looked over her shoulder to see if the line had moved. She was clearly already bored with this conversation. "Yeah, we get that," Brett said. "What we want to know is, what's it like inside? I mean, does the club really take up 3 floors?" "And the roof," the young man replied. "But it's all arranged in VIP levels. See, the first 2 floors are for everyone that coughs up 2 bills apiece for the cover. It's open in the middle, so the second floor is really a loft that overlooks the dance floor on the first." Well, what's on the third floor and the roof? Brett asked. The third floor has a bunch of private lounges. Each one will run you 5 G's for the room and get you access for 10 guests. It includes a private bar. That doesn't cover drinks, though. The young man looked at his watch. He, like his date, was losing interest in this conversation. And the roof? Brett pressed. His attitude perked up over that particular question. That is through special invite only. You need to know somebody to get in. It's where the owners hang out. I got invited up once. It was pretty cool. Really? Brett asked. You know the owners? No, not really. It was a friend of a friend sort of thing. Pretty cool, though. There's a private elevator in the back they bring you up in. There's a pool, 4 hot tubs, drinks are included. Even got a small dance floor and someone mixing music. But like I said, you got to know someone to get up there. Hey, well, I appreciate the information, Brett said. We may stop by tomorrow. Sounds like something you really have to see once. The young man nodded and turned his attention back to his girlfriend. Brett and DJ wheeled about and walked away. Back at the Tahoe, parked around a corner a full block away, Brett watched DJ gear up. He put on a bulletproof vest he confiscated from one of the attackers back at the house. Brett followed suit. As they prepared, they discussed how they would do this. DJ spoke up first. So I'm pretty sure this place has a basement. They would need a place to store cases of alcohol and supplies. I saw one of those big restaurant vents hanging off the wall out back in the alley, so we know they have a kitchen as well. So there has to be a back entrance to this place, and it probably leads straight to that kitchen. We should make our entry there. They probably have it guarded, though. According to the idiot we just talked to, there's a private elevator in the back. Our targets are guaranteed to be on the roof, so we should try heading up from back there. Brett nodded his head. Right. If we can get in the back, we can take the elevator up, grab them both, head straight back down, and it doesn't sound complicated at all. You know, if you exclude the fact that we have no idea how many armed guards there are, do they have radios, are our 2 targets armed, what is the specific layout of the place, or is there any security cameras to alert them of our presence? Despite those unanswered questions, sounds like a piece of cake. DJ cut angry eyes at him. Hey, we went into this knowing there was going to be a lot of unseen variables that we would have to work out on the fly. Brett looked back down the street to the club. DJ could tell he was really overwhelmed by the incredible odds they were up against and what was at stake if they failed. Look, DJ said, I hate to oversimplify this, but I'm fully aware of what the odds are. What other choice do we have? Right now, Big Chuck has all the leverage. We need some leverage of our own. So the plan here is pretty simple. We charge in the back, shoot anybody that has a gun, grab Hudson and Ward, and disappear into the night. We just do what needs to be done. Yeah, you're right, Brett agreed. Place the call. DJ called Abby and she answered on the first ring. We're almost ready. How long do you need to get ready on your end? I'm ready now, she replied. Say the word and I'll buy you some time, but it won't last long. 5 minutes. I'm already logged into the other system too. When you're ready for that one, all I have to do is click my mouse. DJ then conferenced in Brett and they ran the earbuds up the inside of their shirt and into their ears. This way, if they got separated once inside, they could still talk with each other. Abby could listen in and perform her function when called on by either one of them. DJ strapped on the low-slung tactical holsters he purchased from the sporting goods store earlier. It was a double-rig system that allowed for open-ended universal pistol holders to be strapped to both upper thighs. This placed them in easy reach and at the same height as his hands fell naturally. Their open-ended design allowed both of the Sig Sauer pistols he had to be placed in the holster with silencers still attached. He mounted all 3 of the double mag pouches on the front of the belt that secured the entire rig. 2 on one side of the buckle and 1 on the other. They gave him 6 mags at the ready. The rest he stuffed into his back pockets. Lastly, he tucked the dead agent's backup Glock under his shirt in his waistband. The model was a G26 9mm containing a 10-round mag. It was yet another pistol he was already familiar with. There was, he reminded himself, no such thing as too many guns. Brett refrained from using anything similar. Instead, he chose his familiar service pistol, holstered like normal up high on his waist. Then he took the other agent's identical Glock and holstered it in a cross-draw fashion on his left side. Finally, he grabbed a package of zip ties that they had purchased when they bought the phones. DJ compared himself to Brett. DJ looked like he was going to war, with his low-slung holster system and twin-silenced pistols, like something out of a movie, just a little over the top and ridiculous. Brett, on the other hand, seemed entirely outmatched by DJ. DJ addressed the issue. You sure you don't want at least the G-26 backup or maybe one of these holster rigs? I feel like I'm hogging all the good stuff. Well, there's a little something I've been holding out as a surprise, Brett replied. He brought DJ around to the back of the SUV and raised the rear liftgate out of the way. Mounted on the floor in the back and covered with matching carpet was a slide-out. DJ had not noticed it before because it looked just like the floor of the Tahoe. Brett produced a key, probably from the agent that tried to kill them, and inserted it into a lock in the middle. He turned the lock and slid out a large 6-inch deep drawer. Mounted into cutouts were 3 military-grade firearms. The first was a Sig Sauer 5.16, Sig's answer to the military's M4 assault rifle. It was a law enforcement favorite. In the slot above that was a Remington Model 700 sniper rifle. It was a rifle dating back to Vietnam and was still being used by many as standard issue. And finally, above that, was a Benelli Supernova shotgun. DJ whistled. You've been holding out on me. Those are some real quality weapons. Hey, FBI spares no expense, Brett replied. Too bad I'll be losing my job soon. Then he looked at DJ up and down and began to laugh harder. What's so funny? DJ asked. Well, I was just thinking, Brett began. If they have security cameras, it's going to look like this place was assaulted by a church youth group. DJ looked down at the printed T-shirt. The reflective red Relentless Youth caught the dome light from the Tahoe and shimmered. He laughed as well. Now that's a youth group I would send my kids to. You want one? Brett asked, referencing the 3 weapons. DJ nodded and picked up the shotgun. He unloaded it and reloaded it to make sure he was aware of the count. 7 rounds. It would be a nice start. Plus, he had the ability of being able to butt-stroke someone should the need arise. Brett watched DJ check over his newest weapon, then reached down and retrieved the 5.16. He tucked the 2 additional mags in his waistband. Now, he told DJ, let's go save our family.